Hello again and welcome to this series of talks about intentism, the new international art movement and ideas of intentionality around them. Previous weeks we've been looking at the theory, the idea of intention, the idea of significance, the idea of cause. But this last session we're going to look at it from an artistic perspective, and we're going to be looking at it primarily as an artistic movement. How do we celebrate these things visually or in our literature and our music? The first slide we've got here is palimpsestism and the creative trail. As I say, intentism is primarily a movement of the arts, and most art movements show ideas visually, certainly if they're the visual arts, with a recognisable style, and intentism is no different. The artist's multiple intentions that we spoke of last time are seen in the palimpsestic qualities of the work. What is palimpsestism? Well, a palimpsest is a manuscript that has been scraped off and reused. For example, this practice dates from Roman times when a text would be written on a wax-coated tablet that would be smoothed over and used again and again. This leaves the editing process visible. This has also become known among intentists as the creative trail. And it visually celebrates the intention to meaning bridge because you can see various editing processes still in the final work. So, the creative trail. Like a person dropping pieces of paper that you follow to try and get to some kind of prize and follow a trail. The same thing here. You can follow the journey, the creative journey of the artist by seeing the editing process in the layering palimpsest quality of the work. Let's have a look at some examples of palimpsest art. This one is called the School of Postmodernism. It's basically a satire based on Raphael's School of Athens. And instead of classical thinkers, like in Raphael's work, we have postmodernists presented in the same poses as Raphael painted his thinkers, classical thinkers. The setting here is postmodern architect Robert Venturi's Sainsbury wing of the National Gallery. The postmodern artists include Derrida, Foucault and Barthes, we mentioned in previous weeks, and engaged in arguably the most objective art discipline, which is light drawing. The irony here is that each postmodern artist is unable to look truthfully at the model in the centre, and their work reflects their individual postmodern theory. The Gamekeeper by intentists Craig Edwards and Rod Walls. This is the second example here we can look at of palimpsest art. It's a photograph showing the palimpsest qualities of the layering of the image there. It's another comment on the inability of new criticism to deal with puns in the title of the piece, because we have the gamekeeper that could obviously mean more than one thing. Thirdly, Never Too Late by the artist Maria Beddoes. This is a third example. The artist here has included the palimpsest quality just in the seat of the chair, where she's layered with glass the seat with different texts and patterns. Next, Govinda Sar. This picture or painting is entitled Hope and Horror. Yet again, more palimpsest. There's a lot of layering going on in the work. He builds up the paint thinly to create this overall image that reflects the idea of clouds and skylines. Let's move on to literature. We have a poem here called Grind by Gideon Parry. And what you find here is the palimpsest, or the creative trail, is seen in the brackets. The brackets here are alternative versions that were edited out but are still left in the text, so you can see what he decided to keep and what he decided to reject. Intentist music. Remodel, British Racing Green was the name of that particular single, and that obscure object called Desire. Remodel is one of the fastest growing groups. in the country. They're doing very, very well. They've exhibited with us before. Last year in Soho, London, they exhibited some of their work with us. Their song, That Obscure Object Called Desire, has been recorded to demonstrate a band's intentional journey as the work changes and develops over time. In the earliest version of the work, you can see there are many changes compared with the final version that was released. And that's seen in their final piece they exhibited with us in a palimpsest way. How? Well, the earliest version can be heard in the right speaker and the latest in the left. And in the middle, how they differ is easily noticeable. A lot of this work, including that obscure object called Desire, can be found on our website. More details about our website will be mentioned at the end of this particular session. But you can hear that particular song, and you can see the poems and most of the art and the sculpture and the photography there. So, the years 2000 to 2010, to conclude, the forgotten years. On this penultimate slide, we've got David Hirst's work, The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living. To sum up then, what should our final comments be? Well, first of all, meaning is not always exhaustively found in the work. Secondly, a work will have one meaning, but perhaps many significances. And thirdly, the work is the vehicle for the meaning and not the meaning itself. It's the vehicle for the meaning. In practice, the death of the author has meant very often anemic art, saying very little. Throughout history, art has led the way, often before the sciences, in the involving ways of seeing the world. Postmodernism has taught us many things. We can stand on the shoulders of the new critics. We can stand on the shoulders of postmodernism. But now it's time to take the next step. So, in sum, intentism. Intentism is the fastest growing art movement in the UK, with artists who have been represented on national television, radio and public galleries. Intentists believe as artists we must be ungagged, so our work can once again challenge, inspire and shape our society. We have a website, www.intentism.com. We have a new one, a new sister site called www.intentismcommunity.webs.com, and we'll be more than happy to see you put posts on there and debate with us. But once again, for joining me for these series of sessions and lectures, many thanks.